Let's off the topic of Trump, going to the Libertarian Party nominated this dude for the presidential candidate this weekend. Man, it was a tough watch with all these different motions and people stalling the process. They stalled the process on purpose. And a lot of the libertarians, I don't know, the delegates or whatever, they had to go home. They're like, this is beyond the time that we scheduled for this. And Chase Oliver won. This guy right here. This is Chase Oliver in 2020.
And of course, for LGBTQ rights, I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those are issues that affect me personally, the people I love, and especially trans rights issues. I tell people all the time, all lives won't matter until Black lives matter, and Black lives won't matter until Black trans lives matter. There's an epidemic of violence going on, and I feel like John Lewis was a champion of those issues, and I want to continue to champion those issues. Whether I'm elected or not, I want to continue to speak to those issues, especially to our trans brothers and sisters who face so much discrimination and violence for just being their authentic selves. And that to me is a terrible thing. And it's something that I hope to voice opposition to and to help hold up those trans voices in our community. And of course, for LGBTQ rights, I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those are issues.
So for somebody who is not involved with what's happening and if somebody hasn't thought through these things very much, you might wonder, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with this? Trans rights and LGBTQ rights. They're rights. I support these rights. Keep in mind, this is a libertarian candidate.
And of course, for LGBTQ rights, I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those are issues that affect me personally, the people I love, and especially trans rights issues. I tell people all the time, all lives won't matter until Black lives matter, and Black lives won't matter until Black trans lives matter. There's an epidemic of violence going on, and
That's wild, man. That's a wild statement. I don't even know what that is. That's beyond politics. I don't even know what he's talking about there. But listen to this. Look at how some libertarians are, or people who call themselves libertarians. This is not my definition of a libertarian, but that's not a diss. We just have different views on what it means. Jeff Charles, who actually does really good writing, Jeff and I believe you pronounce it Donnie, they put me on to the Dexter Taylor problematic stuff. They're very important people in just news and influential. But this is cringe here. I mean, when you mix race into things, you can't have liberty. And Jeff Charles is a racial identitarian, no different than a Nick Fuentes, just on a different spectrum, says, damn, Ron, because everybody's talking, you just heard that, that's woke. That's woke. That's letting an authority outside of God define your moral compass. And everyone's going to call that woke. Black lives... the phrase Black Lives Matter is problematic. He went further than that. He said Black lives don't matter until Black trans lives don't matter. So that's woke beyond woke. But Jeff Charles, I guess, is defending it. He says, damn, Ron Paul was woke too. Next thing y'all are going to tell me he had a couple Black staffers or employees because of DEI. Say it ain't so. So he's going on this racial stuff. Why? Because I'm going to assume this quote is accurate. Ron Paul, the great Ron Paul, said, racism is simply an ugly form of collectivism, the mindset that views humans strictly as members of groups rather than individuals. And I don't know if Jeff is he's a smart guy, don't get me wrong. On this topic, I don't know if race turns him into being dense or just bad. I don't know if it's on purpose to defend Chase. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know where he stands on the Mises Caucus. Obviously, he doesn't seem like he likes the Mises Caucus, not with takes like this. I don't know how a smart person has a take that bad. The problem with, there's no excuse for Jeff not knowing. But for like your normal person off the street, they'll probably be like, oh, this Chase Oliver quote is perfect. These LGBTQ rights.
LGBTQ rights. I'm absolutely a supporter of those because
the question that we need to ask is, remember, libertarians are for decentralization. Whose What are these rights that you're talking about, Chase? And who gets to enforce these rights? Chase is a proponent of adding the Rainbow Coalition to the Civil Rights Act. That's what this is. So this is a libertarian focusing on giving the federal government more power. If you don't know, I am completely anti the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He wants to give the government more power, and he wants to give the government the power to impart its morality on you. There is nothing more anti-liberty than that. So Jeff Charles tries to say, well, look at what Ron Paul did. So we can use that, what we did there, on and talk about Ron Paul. But the problem is, Jeff, Ron Paul wasn't talking about rights. He's just talking about in general in that quote. When it comes to rights, Ron Paul, this is from 2011, said he would have opposed the 64 Civil Rights Act. Why? Because it's obviously anti-liberty. Even though he said those things about racism, he staunchly affirms people's right to be racist, a bigot, or whatever you want to label somebody. Chase Oliver does not. And that's a significant problem. Just because he's anti-war, and I think his anti-war position seems pretty solid, doesn't mean I'm going to support him as a libertarian candidate for president. That means our interests can converge on anti-war, maybe a couple other things too. But I'm not supporting you for any type of anything. I don't know what happened to some of these libertarians. I'm starting to put these videos, chopping them up, putting them in playlists. If you want more of this content, like, comment, subscribe, put notifications on. YouTube will feed it to more people, and I will give you more information. I'll give you more videos. If it doesn't, then we'll end it right here. But I appreciate you giving a bro a chance either way.
Middle MAGA.